Welcome to the Succeed Against the Odds podcast. My name is Francesca Anastasi, also known as Sabea. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I'm your host and mentor. And each week we bring you an inspiring person, an expert, or message, and some behind the scenes to help you ignite and unleash your potential. Thanks so much for listening. Welcome back to another episode of the Succeed Against the Odds show. Today, as my guest, I have Sharlrita Deloatch. Thank you so much for being here, Sharlrita.
Thank you so much for having me.
I love what you do. You are a business and speaker coach, an inspirational speaker, and an author. Can you please share with me and our audience what got you into becoming a business and speaker coach?
Yes, I tell people all the time, I just fell into it. I mean, it was something that I didn't dream about. It was something that it wasn't on my vision board. It wasn't I didn't write these things down, but I kind of fell into it. About 12 years ago, I found myself in a bad situation where I made a huge mistake, where I found myself in the back of a police car, and I was being fingerprinted. I was being arrested as a convicted felon. So I made some bad choices back in 2004 year, and I had to really face those choices at that time when I got arrested. And here we are about 12 years later. I had to really get to where God wanted me to be. I had to ask him, what is it that you want me to do? And I made a promise while I was in the holding cell. So if you have ever been arrested, if you ever been in a situation like me, after you are booked, they get all your information. They put you in a holding cell until someone comes and gets you, or until you have to go to the general population where everyone else is at if no one bails you out. So fortunately, I had a great mom and a stepdad that was on their way to come get me on their time. So I had to sit in the holding cell until they came to get me. And at that moment is when I made that promise to God. And I said, look, if you help me get out of this, I promise you, I won't come back here. I knew that jail was not my thing. It was not something that I wanted to do. So I vowed from that moment on that I wanted to do better about my life. I wanted to do great things. I wanted to really be obedient to what God has told me to do. So in 2013 is really when I really started getting into being a speaker, being a coach, and I had never heard of it. To be honest, being the internet world will really, really show you some things. And when Facebook started getting really, really popular is when I found out that, you can actually get on stage and you can talk and get paid for it. And I was like, really? Okay, but what do I have to talk about? I struggled with my self-esteem. I struggled with my confidence, and what I had to talk about, I didn't know if people really truly wanted to hear my voice. If you can't tell, I stutter a little bit. I might cover up a little bit more now than ever. But I had a stutter. As I talk now, I was not as good as I am now. So I had struggled with my confidence. I struggled with what I would talk about. And really, if I wanted to talk about my situation, because when we are going through tough times in life, the number one thing we don't want to happen is we don't want to be judged. So I didn't want to be judged. So that's how I got into the entrepreneur, the speaker world, because no one would hire me. To be honest, I had to get out and create my own job, create my own life. And so I've been doing that ever since then.
That is totally amazing. You and I share something in common where I haven't been in a cell. However, I did become an entrepreneur because no one would hire me. I found myself in a place where I was going to so many job interviews and I just wasn't landing the job. And at the end of my unemployment insurance, I had to make that decision of, okay, if nobody's going to hire me, I have to be my own boss and I have to hire me. But what fascinates me about your story is, a lot of people, we're all humans, right? And we do make mistakes. Some mistakes land you in jail. But what you did is you made a decision. which
Mm-hmm.
is so key. That is really the crucial point in any part of life. I tell this to my clients all the time. I tell this when I speak as well, that decision, that's the point. And you can make a decision right now to change your path. I love your story because you were at a point where it was such a painful moment for you to find yourself in that situation where you're just like, this is not what I want. And you promise you change. So let me ask you then, the struggle with finding work was after was it because you had that record, or was it before and then that's what landed you in jail?
But it was actually after. It was because I had the record. Because when I received when I first, as you know, when you go to your first court appearance, and when you go to your first court appearance, they give you a hearing date and all that good stuff. I think that's how it still works. Once they did that, it wasn't on my record yet because I hadn't been found guilty. So because I hadn't been found guilty, I was able to land a call center job. So I had kept that job, and I had made in my mind that that was the job that I was going to have for the rest of my life, because I was like, I have this felon. No one else is really going to hire me. So let me stay with this job. But when I found my purpose into speaking and into coaching, it was because that job let me go. They found out that I had a felon on my record. So I had been working for them for like 6.5 years, and I had to go on to a different project. So with different projects, if you're not familiar with the call center arena, I was an outsourcer, so they had different projects that they had, and they was like, you know what, this project decided to leave, so let's put you on the next project, but they're going to have to do a background check. They're going to have to do all of that. So I went in, and that's when they fired me, and they found out about it. So that's where it was tough, because as a felon, if you haven't had it on your record for quite some time, like right now, I can get hired. Someone will hire me now, not everybody, because it's been over 7 years. I'm in the state of North Carolina, so some jobs will look past it if it's been 7 years, and which mine has. But it's tough when you're in year 1, you're in year 3, you're in year 5, you're trying to find a job. And I needed a job. I had children. During this time, I had kids. I got married during this time. So I had a wonderful man that loved me so much. And I told him about my past, and he didn't care. So he knew what he was getting into. So it was tough. It was very tough.
Well, I'm sure it was not easy. So when you decided to become your own boss, did you share your story? As that now you're sharing your story, but did you share your story right away? Was it easy to share your story? Did you find that was something that helped you get you the visibility and get people to listen to you and build your credibility from your story perspective? Or did you hide your story for a while?
I did in the beginning. I hid my story because, again, I did not want to be judged. When I first started speaking, I went through a speaker program because I wanted to find about more about getting to the speaker arena, how to monetize my voice, all that good stuff. So when I did that, the program that I went through, she asked us about our signature story. And I wanted to tell about having low self-esteem, having low confidence, what much a lot of women talk about. I hid my story into the end of the program, and I said, you know what, I have to be truthful. Let me be truthful and tell you what my real story is. And when I said that, she said, why did you hide your story? And again, it was because I didn't want to be judged, and I didn't want people to know. I didn't want people to know that side of me. I didn't want them to judge me. I didn't want people to feel like, wow, I don't want to be around her. But the more and more I got comfortable in who I am as a woman, who I am as a speaker, who I am as an entrepreneur, yes, my story has gained me a lot of visibility, because people are like, what? I would have no idea that you're like that. Really? You're the last person that I would think would be a convicted felon. And it is true that I am. So I've learned to use my story, and it really has gave me a lot of visibility. So it's yes and no to answer your question. I was very afraid in the beginning, but now I am very confident. I have no problem with telling my story, because I know that my story is not just about me. It's for somebody else and to help others. So I'm very bold about it now.
And you nailed it right on the head. It's your story is so powerful because it shows the human, right? And I kind of figured that you probably, that's why I asked the question. I kind of imagine that you may have hidden that part of your life in at the beginning because it's something that was so hurtful to you and maybe embarrassing at the time. But
Mhm.
at the same time, this your story and your mistake is so powerful in helping others because you're
Yes,
showing you are like an amazing example of it doesn't matter what kind of mistake you make, you can still turn your life around and you can still come on top. Kudos.
can. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations for standing on your story and for sharing it because just think how many people you're impacting by not holding your story back. And I hope there are audiences that is listening, no matter what you've done in life, you know, you can succeed. You can get past and use your past experience to push you forward and to propel you forward, which is what you're doing.
Exactly.
So you're not just a speaker coach, you are a business coach. Why business?
Because let me tell you, when I first wanted to be an entrepreneur, I believed in going in. When I went into entrepreneurship, I went in with what I already knew. And one thing I already knew was customer service. I'm still an advocate of customer service, giving great customer service. I believe every business should put their best foot forward when it comes to customer service, treating all their customers right. So I always believed in that. Plus, I had a lot of experience to back that up. So I decided to start my own customer service company. But unfortunately, I didn't know anything about coaching. I didn't know anything about getting help. I was trying to be superwoman. And the same year, I shut that business down because I didn't have the help that I didn't reach out for the help that I didn't know I had it at that time, but I do now. So I started that company and I really, really got into business to show women that just because you fail in business, it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't succeed. So after starting that company, I got into speaking and I have been very successful with helping women start their business. So I'm like the business startup woman. So yeah, I failed in the business startup, but I also succeeded when it came to starting my own coaching practice, starting my own speaker business, because I believe speaking is a business. And I've been very successful at that. So I could take the same principles in starting a business and helping other women start business, which a lot of my clients, all of them don't have speaker business. One of my clients has a boutique, and another one has a women's empowerment type of business that she started, a nonprofit. So there are different sectors that I am very familiar with experience, and as well as with education, because I do believe in having some education. If you don't have the experience, one of the ways that you can become an expert is through learning, through education. That's why a lot of people get degrees and all that good stuff. So I did take a lot of classes one year because, again, nobody will hire me, so I will go to school. And that helped me to learn and put those things that I learned into action in my own business.
Learning is key. And you mentioned, failing at your previous business, but I look at failure as a lesson because
Hmm.
it's actually a positive word if you learn something from it. So I like to look at failure as lessons to look at, and you know that if you've done something that didn't work, you're going to do it differently next time, or not do it at all, or do it in a completely different way from a different perspective. So learning whether it's academic or from the experience is still useful in helping others as you are doing. And it sounds like you totally immersed yourself and wanted to learn as much as you could to do what you're doing. It sounds like you love what you do.
I do. I really, really, truly do, because I know what it feels like to not have the help that you desire. And I know what it feels like to kind of do things alone. So I really push women to not try to do things alone, because I've done that and I failed. And it let us all know that how help really helps. Well, how coaching really helps, how mentorship really helps, and that you really can't do it by yourself. It's impossible. It's very impossible.
It definitely is a lot harder. And like you said, if you do it with someone, it definitely helps you. That you have that cheerleader, that support, the mentorship, as you mentioned, that can guide you, that guidance, so that you can avoid those pitfalls and those blind spots that you can't see as an entrepreneur. Someone else can see and can help you take care of those
Yep.
before it can sink you, right?
Right.
You know, you did say earlier the resources are out there. Like it is important to reach out for help. I think a lot of times as women, we tend to feel that we can do it all ourselves. We're super women and we can
Yep.
figure it out on our own, especially in the startup phase. What would you say? This is my personal experience with my own clients and based on my own experience in the past, thinking, well, I'm starting up. Most people who are in the startup phases are not, don't have a huge budget,
Right.
and they feel that maybe hiring a coach or hiring a business advisor or a consultant, they look at that, oh, I can do it on my own, not realizing that is actually counterproductive, that they're ending up spending more money in the end and losing more money versus putting forward that investment towards a coach or a consultant or a mentor that can help them bring that money back in a lot faster and multiply it. So what has been your experience with your own clients? Do you find that they have that mindset where they feel they have a tight budget, they use the word I can't afford it right now, I will do it later as I'm in business? Or what has been your personal experience in your part of the world?
Yeah, I've experienced that they can't afford it, and I've been there. I've been there before where I want to help, but I couldn't afford it. But I had to make a decision, and I had to say, listen, what is this coach going to do for me at this particular time? And with the clients that or the people that I come in contact, yes, they say, I can't afford it. And then some say, you know what, I have to do it because I need the assistance. Even if it's just accountability, even if it's just someone talking to you every month about your business, and that helps out so much. Because when I was in between coaches and kind of looking for a coach and all that good stuff, I really looked at it and saw where I was to the point I knew I needed the help, and how hard it was doing things on your own. So I have my husband who's amazing. He's amazing at business. He does my websites and all that good stuff. He's great in that end. But still, you still want to have somebody there, with you in the trenches. So I want to advise those that are listening that if you find yourself, especially in the startup phase, to be honest, don't use the excuse that you can't afford it, because you just cannot afford it. You have to get someone to help guide you during that startup phase. Like I just told you guys, because I didn't have anyone, and because at the time I lacked knowledge. So it wasn't that I was ignorant and wouldn't hire no one. It was just I just lacked knowledge. I liked the fact that there was help. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this by myself. I'm going to use Google and just do it by myself. But most of the time, it doesn't work. So I definitely advise those that can get help, get help.
Great advice. And I love that you said that. You brought up how, the Google looking for answers. And it's true. We can find a lot of answers on Google. However, Google does not know your business.
Right.
Right. And that's what I'm finding as well, that a lot of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, tend to do what I call the DIY, do it yourself. They pay this for this program, and then they pay for this other program that they see online. They see all these special offers. If you get it within the next 24 hours, I'll give you whatever, 70% off. And these are like bits and pieces of the puzzle that may or may not be the right pieces for your puzzle, because your business is not exactly as everybody else's. Even if you are in a coaching business and they're telling you this is for coaches, it's not necessarily the one that works for your coaching business. So that is the importance of having a business coach and a mentor like you, because you can help people, guide them based on their specific niche, based on their specific model of their business. And like I said at the beginning, I just love what you do because It's in the same area of what I do, and I feel it's so important for women. Maybe you agree with me or not on this, and that's fine, but I don't know. What is your take? I personally believe that every human being and every woman can be an entrepreneur. I know there are a lot of people say not everyone can be, not everybody has the strength to do it. But I personally believe that everyone can if they find the right business model that works for their personality. What is your take on that?
I believe that everyone, especially women, we have a entrepreneur spirit. I do believe that we can take something, a gift or talent, something, and turn it into a business. Now, should it be a business? Probably some of them should not. But I do agree with the fact that we all have something in us that can get us to entrepreneurship. Again, with me, entrepreneurship runs in my family, whether it's legally or unlegally, or legally or unlegally. So the entrepreneur spirit runs rapid in my family. But when it got to me, I really didn't feel like I had it. For some reason, I was like, I just been so busy working for other people that it's hard. Now, can it be difficult sometimes? It can. But I believe that we got something in us. So I had to muster up what I had in me to create a job for myself because, like you say, the unemployment benefits run out and you got to figure out a way to make it happen. So yeah, I believe all women, all people have something in them that can bring them to the entrepreneur space. But some people never tap into it, and some people do. Some people, it's not made for them. That's not the position that God has for them. So I believe there's a purpose in everybody. Everybody has some type of purpose.
So before you decided to start your own business, then you felt you had that entrepreneurial spirit in you?
I didn't.
You
I
did.
didn't. I had to, as I got into the entrepreneur world, I had to grow into it. I really had to grow into it. And then as you go, as the years have gone by, then now I'm mustering up like, wow, I do have that entrepreneur spirit because you do have to have strength. You got to have patience. You have to have that go-getter mentality. You have to have a positive mentality. You have to have that mentality that is different. That means you can't give up so easily. I can't tell you how many times in my head I have quit entrepreneurship in my head. But yeah, I didn't really muster it up until I got into it. And sometimes that's what it takes. Until you experience it, you probably like, no, I can never do that. Until you really realize that you can.
And that's so right on point. Like you said, you grow into it. You can grow into it.
Hmm.
I like how you said you quit in your mind so many times, but yet you had made a decision, so you stuck to it.
I had to.
Yeah.
When you have children, you have family, you have responsibility. You got to make it happen because at that moment I knew that nobody was going to hand it to me. That's the first part I learned about entrepreneurship. Nobody is going to hand you anything. Nobody's going to give you anything. Nobody is obligated to give you anything. Now, it's great if God sends a perfect angel to bless you with something, bless you with a job or whatever. And I can say, even in between those times, I got blessed with a job from my pastor, who is still my pastor now, even at that time. But it wasn't, it wasn't paying bills. It was something that I can do part-time during that time. And so you'll have those type of people until you get where you are really destined to be.
And now you have the Boss Women Elite Speaker Academy. Tell us about that.
Yes, the Boss Women Elite Speaker Academy is categorized for two different type of speakers because I attract, different type of speakers. I attract those that just want to get started. So I have a level for those that are just wanting to get started. And it's an email-based academy where you get everything to your email. You get access to a different portal where all your trainings are at. So those that want to get started and you don't know how to start, the lower level is awesome. It's very, very, very affordable. I've made it so that it is affordable to those women. And then the next level is for those that may have spoken for quite some time, but they need some up leveling. They need to really get some trainings that will help challenge them to get better when it comes to their speaking. I come upon a lot of women speakers that They want to speak, but they don't know who they're speaking to. They don't know what they're speaking about. They just want to go and speak. And that's not how it works. You have to really hone down who your audience is, so that you can get those speaking engagement where your target audience is at. I teach them in certain videos about questions that they should ask before they say yes to speaking engagements. We don't want to say yes to everything. In the beginning, when I first started speaking, I was saying yes to everything because I wanted to speak, but then I learned that at the end of the day, it doesn't really benefit me or the audience. So yeah, that's what the Academy is all about. It's reoccurring. So it's a email-based membership that you can join at any time.
Excellent. How does our audience get in touch with you? What's the best way to access that? What's your website?
My website is www.sharritaspeaks.com. If you want to interested in the Academy, you can put /Academy, or there's a link to work with me, and you'll see the Boss Woman Elite Speakers Academy tab. So very easy to get to, great way to navigate through my website. So there's different options on my website that you can work with me, get in contact with me via email. I have a Facebook group, those that are advocates on a Facebook group. So I have a free Facebook community of women speakers called the Boss Women Elite Speakers Lounge. So that's the lounge. That's the starting point for most speakers that I come in contact with. And they go from there and go into the Academy. So you can join us on the Facebook group as well. Excellent.
And you mentioned at the beginning, earlier on, that you have a stuttering problem. Well, I did not hear any of that during this whole interview. I actually find I stutter more than you do. And actually, you don't. I did not hear any of it. So you've done an amazing job of conquering that, and working with that. So you're definitely a role model to anyone who wants to become a good speaker, because you've just proven you're good.
Thank you.
And I love your story of success. I love your determination, sticking to your guns and making your decision, and low and high water, you made it happen. And now you have a successful business. So to our audience members, please check out Sharlrita's website, sharritaspeaks.com. The link is in the notes, and you can find out more about her membership program to help you with your business and speaking. It's been a total pleasure to have you here on my show, and I hope to connect with you soon in the future.
I look forward to connecting with you in the future as well.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please pass it on, and it would mean so much to me if you would leave an honest review on iTunes. I'd really appreciate it. Till next time, embrace your magnificence.